I'm going over the stats portion of RotoWire Soccer here on this one, specifically defense versus positional stats over at RotoWire. Hey, it's Adam Zdroik. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. It's a 48-hour trial and stats portion. Again, one of the main things I think a lot of people use RotoWire is because we get stats from Opta. We get all these stats that are easily sortable, easily filterable. And on this drop down, you can see there's a lot of different options, a lot of ways to look at what kind of stats we get. And one that maybe isn't used as much as others is this defense versus position stats. And I think more of it is one thing that's useful that we put into some of our rankings is we actually use these defense versus specific stats and put these into an algorithm and put these into stats, put these into rankings, I should say. But again, like everything else, all of these are connected to every league we cover. Premier League, we also get. This is one where we do get Champions League defense because we do get, not Champions League, Championship, EFL Championship. We get those stats as well. And again, it's all these leagues we cover. So what do you want to do with defense versus position stats? Maybe you don't really care about it and it doesn't really matter how a defense performs against a specific position, but maybe you do want to get into the finer details of how a defense plays a certain team or something like that. So you can actually sort by basically every regular position, I believe it is on this list here. Also, you can just have, forward, midfielder, defender, pretty simple categories there. And then we do have these new ones that were added: forward, right forward, left forward, attacking midfielder on the right side, left side, midfield, central midfielder, defensive midfielder, right. Okay, I could go over all those, but actually I just did. Either way, you can click on any of these. So let's just say, how does a defense perform? I'm in the Premier League right now. How does a defense perform against a central forward, a number 9, listed in the Opta formation here? So what matters most here? Okay, let's just say goals matter most. Nottingham Forest have allowed the most goals in the league to number 9 forwards. Not too surprising. They allow a ton of goals. Next on the list, maybe a little more surprising, West Ham, who are a team that don't like to play with possession. They go off the counter themselves, but apparently they struggle against number 9 forwards. Sure, maybe some of this, maybe they played Holland and he scored 5 goals in a game or something, so these stats are skewed. You can look in the deep details of that, but maybe not. Again, this is 25 instances where they've played kind of a forward. Again, I guess I should say, I mentioned number 9 earlier, but in a 4-4-2, technically there are 2 forwards. So that's why there's some different numbers here. And then some teams will play 4-4-2 where you have 2 forwards, but most formations usually only have 1 forward. I guess Brighton have also been doing a 4-2-1-2 where there's 2 forwards and then there's an attacking midfielder behind that. But still, what you're taking away from this is, Aston Villa are another team. Maybe teams are going on the counter off of Aston Villa and they're allowing goals to forwards. West Ham, Aston Villa are kind of surprising to be up here with teams like Nottingham Forest. And with teams like Sheffield United. Newcastle have also allowed 11 goals. Let's look at the bottom of this list. Liverpool, Manchester City, they don't allow a ton of goals. That's not surprising. But Crystal Palace, they've only allowed 4 goals to forwards. Players listed as FWs, players listed as forwards this season, which is kind of surprising because Crystal Palace have allowed plenty of goals this season. Does that mean Mark Gahey and Joachim Andersen are 2 of the best center backs in the league? Maybe. And they're great against central forwards? Maybe. It could be something like that. Some stats are just kind of surprising more than others. Bournemouth have allowed the same amount of goals to central forwards as Arsenal, so Brentford and Everton. So some things to take away from this match, from this defense versus position stat. Another one, maybe you want to look at compare. So take a couple different compare accurate crosses from open play for right backs is kind of what I'm looking at here. So Luton Town and Sheffield United, not surprising, have have conceded the most accurate crosses from open play to right backs this season. Crystal Palace behind them. Again, some of this could be, okay, maybe they played TAA or maybe they played Trippier in a game, and one of those guys got 6 crosses from open play or something in the game because they were chasing, kind of thing. Maybe something like that. But again, this is another, like all our stats, you can look through. If you want to do the last 10 game weeks, you can do that as well. Just for comparison, let's just do left backs and see if there's any difference to the top of this list for accurate crosses. Okay, Luton Town are not there, but West Ham are actually surprisingly so. This is left backs going against Vladimir Sufal's side of the pitch. So apparently West Ham allow a decent amount of crosses to left backs from open play. So again, I'm singling out accurate crosses from open play because that doesn't include corners. You don't really want to include corners in the stat because that's when it kind of gets a little bit out of whack when you have Trippiers and TAA kind of racking up corners. But just another example of what you can do with defense versus position stats here. Again, like with other stats pages, you can do any of these. You can do, I don't know, saves if you really want to see how many saves a team gives up. Though you could still find that in other categories where, okay, this team has this many goals and they have this many shots on target, kind of thing. But this will be, okay, how many saves does a team give up, kind of a thing. That means an opponent's goalkeeper making saves. That would be on this for defense versus position. But yeah, I think instead of just diving through every single stat and every single position, I think that's kind of it here of what I want to say for defense versus position. Maybe this will be useful for you. Again, you can download all this information to yourself, use it for your projections, whatever you want. But just another feature on the site that I'm not sure many people actually know about. But rotowire.com/soccer trial. You're going to need that to check out our stat pages. That is a 48-hour trial. Thank you for watching this. Any questions at RotoWire Soccer on